Photography is a dying art. For as long as I've been taking photos, I've heard this assumption from countless amounts of people. And I can see where they're coming from. You know, as a person who makes content full time, it's all about video nowadays. Over the last half decade, it's been all about video. You know, every single new major platform that's come out, every single new major feature that's come out. Whenever you're talking about the idea of content, usually you're talking about video. I mean, you're watching this video right now. And so it's hard as a photographer to not get sucked into transitioning into video and going all in on it. You know, the world is moving in that way and it's hard to go against the flow. But the other day, I was reminded about why I love photography so much. I was reminded about the reason why I got started in photography in the first place, about the reason why it's my favorite art form, and about the reason why I continue to love it over just about every other interest I have in my life. And in 2016, I took this photo. And at the time, I was still fairly green at photography. And it was a simple time for me. You know, photography was something that I was still practicing for the love of it. And any spare time that I had was dedicated to getting out there and shooting and taking photos, regardless of the weather and regardless of expectations. You know, I was just doing it for fun. It was in reflecting in this photo that I remembered why I got started in photography in the first place. It was because photography for me was a means to adventure and discovery of both the world and myself. I used it as a vehicle to get out of my own box and out of my own head, and to expose myself to new circumstances and new experiences, and to show up every single day and get out there and discover a unknown place, and then capturing and saving that as a memory. And when I recently rediscovered this image, I hadn't seen it in like forever, and it really took me back because it made me realize that, you know, I haven't seen epic cloud rays like that even till this day, 6 years later. And it was a great reminder for me that, you know, you never know what you're going to get unless you're out there getting it. I take photos to make art, sure, but I primarily also make them because I need to remember things. You know, I tell people that I have a goldfish memory and that I need to write things down or take a photo of things in order to remember them, especially when it comes to stories. And so with photography, whenever I see photos, I see memories. I see flashbacks of a time and a place and emotions and feelings, and I see everything in vivid detail. Sure, I get this with video too as a medium, but to a far lesser extent, I feel. I feel like with video, it's far more straightforward. It's very, what you see is what you get. There's less room for gray area. There's less room for interpretation. But with photography, there's ambiguity. Not only in the memories of the person who took that photo originally, but also in the interpretation of the person who's viewing that image as well. That ambiguity, the idea that you don't fully know or might not remember the full story or the intention behind an image, that you have to piece together or give something a meaning. You know, that feeling of ambiguity, that is the magic of photography. In photography, there's a knowledge gap that you need to fill with your imagination. You know, what's going on in this photo? What happened in the moments leading up to this photo? What happened after the photo was taken? You know, how did the person feel? How did they react? Viewing a photo lets your imagination run wild. It's ambiguity, right? Because being human means that our perceptions are inherently flawed. It means that we only remember the things that we want to remember, or the things that are in the realm of our perception. It's ambiguity because being human also means that everyone brings their own unique perceptions into the act of viewing our photos. And I think there's tremendous beauty in that ambiguity, and it's a beauty that I'll hold on to until the end of my time. And so while camera sales are dropping faster than ever, TikToks are slowly taking over the world, YouTube is the second largest search engine in existence, and people are seeing photography less and less as an art form, I'm still holding on to the things about photography that are unique to me and my life. And I'm still holding on to my love for that. The idea that photography is the art of memory, ambiguity, and subjectivity. And if you love photography too, then I encourage you to remind yourself about why that is. Remind yourself about why you got started in the first place and what keeps you coming back. Every now and then, we need reminders about the things that are important to us. And in your observations, in your reflections, you might just rediscover little parts of yourself that you might have forgotten about, and maybe even rekindle a little bit of love for what some people consider to be a dying art.